Good morning, Anjo. How are you?
Good. How are you,
Good.
Tina?
Welcome to the K Vision podcast. This is a podcast where we discuss new ideas and innovation in ophthalmology and highlight and showcase cases like yours. So you're part of our female leadership and diversity and leadership series, and today is episode 7 of season 2. So we have a very special guest. Anshul is our guest all the way from Adelaide. She is a CEO and director of iVision Laser. Prior to that, she was a consultant in private clinic for almost a decade. So welcome, Anshul, to the show. And yeah, how are you? How are you feeling?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Despite the time difference, it's actually worked out well.
Would you like to talk us through your journey of what led you to starting your own private clinic?
Um, yeah, look, I mean, it's something that I probably always wanted, was to be my own boss.
Yeah.
And but it wasn't necessarily starting from scratch, it was that I would like to have autonomy and have a business that I could have my own brand on. And as you said earlier, worked in a different private clinic, and I've always done a combination of private and public work here in Adelaide. Um, and, after several years, there was a corporate takeover essentially of the private clinic that I was at. And, with that came some culture shift, which led me to decide that it was time for me to have my own thing, and had a different kind of, I suppose, view on what I wanted my career to look like.
Excellent. So, as Miss Anshul Gupta, consultant in ophthalmology and refractive surgeon, vision correction surgeon, what kind of misconception did you face as a female leader in your field?
Yeah, that's diving straight into it. Um, I think, obviously the obvious one, and this is not even, I guess, underestimating it in any way, but essentially, you're not really seen as a natural business person or a natural leader. Um, are always thought to be kind of needing to be agreeable and, be able to fit into a system.
Yeah.
And it's not common, as you know, for women in our field, whether it's ophthalmology in general or particularly refractive surgery, to want to perhaps or be able to or feel like they're able to go out on their own because of what it takes and also the expectations around that. I think a big misconception for my own self was that it would be difficult to be successful as a female. And that was just something that was a bit of a roadblock for me, was a bit of a mind block for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, in my talk at ESCRIS that you very kindly invited me to, I hope to address how I manage that. But yeah, I think that's a roadblock for women, is the mindset of yourself as well as perhaps how you're perceived.
Okay, so we have the double whammy working within ourselves, working
Yeah,
the challenge that and self-limiting beliefs that we put on ourselves, as well
yeah,
as the external self-limiting belief of others that we're
yeah.
expected to.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's two ways. And I think that, we do put a lot of pressure on ourselves to have a certain image or be a certain way.
Yeah,
And that plays into it. Of course, we've talked about imposter syndrome where you don't feel like you're good enough or, you're not ready to take on certain roles, or particularly as far as leadership and having some authority over things is relevant. So I think that these are perhaps self-limiting beliefs, but perhaps they are created
yeah.
for us. So it's hard to sometimes tease it all apart.
Yeah, there's lots of things you touched on. So you talked about female ophthalmologists in our field, for example, needing to be agreeable and feeling that, if we want something like owning our own vision correction practice, we're wanting too much. and we may not succeed, and that mind block really stops female leaders coming up. So what kind of things helped you? Did you have mentors or other coaching that helped you along the way? Just to tease out and breadcrumb what's to come in our leadership talk on Monday.
Apologies. Yeah, so look, I think it's multifactorial, you know, it's a community of people and supporters that you need for yourself, because
Yeah,
this is not something that you can do by yourself. Um, and that starts obviously from your own family,
yeah,
you know, your friends. I had a very good friend who is actually a dentist, and we used to frequently go on a hike every Sunday. And she's a practice owner and has multiple practices. And, you know, I also have other women friends who are business owners and who are doing it on their own very successfully.
yeah,
So I feel that in that sense, I had some mentorship and role models locally,
yeah,
but nobody understood refractive surgery. And that's a whole different ball game, you know, and like a lot of their challenges are not even close to sometimes what we might feel sometimes, particularly financial. So I think that the outlay is significant, and I think that is kind of like a big differentiation. So that's where, you know, you need a good finance friend who's going to do a concrete business plan for you, and you need to have like a really good strategy around how you're going to set that up. Because the thing is, it's all great to be like, oh, I can do this, and someone else says to you, you can absolutely do this, you'll be great. But at the end of the day, it's about numbers as well.
yeah,
And it's about how you're going to have those numbers and manage your time.
yeah,
And that's perhaps a challenge, particularly for women, and I think also modern men who want to be involved in looking after their family, raising the children, wanting them to be successful, which actually requires a lot of input from the parents.
yeah,
So, yeah, it's a very much a balancing act. And I was really also grateful for some mentors within ophthalmology, you know, who I very openly said, I mean, is it possible for me to achieve this? And they were like, yeah, absolutely. There was definitely others who said, you know, it's really tough and why don't you just work for someone else and etc. But yeah, you've got to make your own decisions there. Yeah.
okay,
And so I think that yes, mentors, a lot of making sure your numbers are concrete.
yeah,
It's making sure that you pay attention to detail,
yeah,
because that's where the comfort starts to come in.
yeah,
Making sure you have a good marketing team if you're going to do refractive,
yeah,
and then having the support of your family and friends. Like there's just no two ways around it. It takes a village
yeah,
to make it all happen. You know, I even like still reach out to the builder that I had. You know, I was like, remember the time we sat down at 10 p.m. and we're working through this and that, and you know,
yeah.
he still came and fixed up the broken hinge on my door the other day. I appreciate those relationships. It means a lot. It props me up, keeps me going. It makes me feel like, you know, if I have that, I'll be okay.
Excellent. So having a supportive family or a spouse is pivotal in getting you started. So
Yeah. And of course, like my husband, I mean, gosh, what would I do without him? But yeah, so I think definitely, yeah, all of the above.
well, and just to delve into, did you swap notes because your hubby also owns practices, doesn't he? And did that help?
Yes, well, you know him. So um yes, yes. He is a general practitioner and has his own practices. So he's sort of been in the business, um, you know, managing a business for a long time. Like I said, everybody's business is very different. So, you know, some things translate and not everything. And I think he's, you know, I reach out to him, but in terms of managing the operations and strategy, etc., that's very much you have to do that yourself.
The other thing
Yeah.
you mentioned is the money aspect of it. So getting into or delving a little bit into investing and how you attracted investors, or did you go in with the capital yourself? How did you navigate all of that field, the money side of things?
No, I mean, I didn't really want any other people investing equity into the business. So, yeah, it was very much you have to do that on your own. Otherwise, someone else has a say. And that's exactly what I wanted to get away from.
Yes, the autonomy that you spoke about, that is so important. I think the autonomy um, is pivotal in terms of the patient experience that you want to create in your clinic. And is that why autonomy was so important and pivotal in your practice?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think that we actually all want that. We all want to be known for who we are,
Yeah,
and that's different for everybody. But for me, it was very much about creating that unique patient experience. When people say patient focused, what does that really mean? So I think that I really wanted to bring that to the forefront of our practice. I wanted to be able to bring in new technology at the pace that I wanted to bring it in without having to wait for someone's okay. I, wanted to, have my schedule flexible. So if I want to go away, I want to have time for the family. I want to attend a school event.
yeah,
It's nice to have my own team because they can actually facilitate those things. I don't have to ask for permission.
yeah,
And these are the things that are really important. And actually, women need that. Like, if you're going to try to balance both, within reason, of course, you have a business to run, you have bills to pay.
yeah.
But I think that you have the ability to do everything the way you want to craft it. And it's much more possible when you do it on your own. Yeah.
So you have freelance to be as creative as you want, and balance everything, as you say, childcare and the business and patient care. So just
I think so. I'm making it all sound lovely, but I just have to tell you that I don't sleep very much. So I'm always working on something.
yeah,
And so, as you know, we struggled to catch up for this podcast, but not because I was, like not able to, like genuinely have very little spare time in my day. And, that the only way to make it all happen is just to, get up early, sleep late, do the hours that it needs. But
yeah,
that's just, so it's hard work. It's not easy.
yeah, yeah. Because
Yeah.
you're always working, right?
Yes, 100%. Yeah. Before I've even started my day, I've already done my morning shift of, my admin, making lunches for the boys, making sure they have their bags packed for piano or, cricket or whatever it is that they do. And, by the time I get to 8 o'clock when I have to leave for work, I'm like, okay, I've already done like a whole day's work. So that's how it feels sometimes. Yeah. So it's good with the bad. Yeah.
And how do you care for yourself while you're doing all of these roles within within your
What does
business?
that mean? I'm kidding. One day.
Okay. So you talked about hiking. Is that how you replenish your energy and kind of connect with nature? And
Yeah, I think like exercise probably is the one sort of time that I give for myself. So I do have a personal trainer. Yes, I try to go for a hike, although that's less so now because it just takes too long. And when I do my personal training sessions, I do it with another friend or whatever. So like I get a chance to catch up. We go away to our holiday house, like, and we just like chill with the boys. And so that's also a good way to rejuvenate, yeah, and connect
excellent.
back with the world.
Yes, yeah. So
Yeah.
just to highlight, we have got this diversity and leadership series coming up on Monday at S-Chris. We'd love
Yeah.
for people to help us get all of these ideas and innovation viral with us. So you are one of the faces of diversity in our field, innovation correction. How does that feel?
Uh, So here's the thing. I mean, I guess I never really saw it until it was highlighted to me.
Yeah,
But so I think in Australia, at least, I feel that, and probably in the UK and a lot of countries, I mean, we do have a very diverse population.
yeah,
And I do remember a comment from a colleague when I was starting out, maybe I should have a more Anglican name, or something. And and I was like, well, I don't know who that person is though. I couldn't relate to that. So that was probably the first time. So it's actually become more of a obvious thing since now. Like it's not something that I ever experienced through training, medical school, getting into the things that I wanted to get into. So I don't have a lot to say around this other than, the most important thing about whatever background you're from, whoever you are, is that your core skill
yeah,
needs to be solid. And that, beyond everything else, is the most important thing. So I think that, I never want to have any sort of victim mentality or, why not me? I think that if you just keep doing good work,
yeah,
that, yeah, I mean, that's probably how you know me, hopefully, not
yeah,
just for my
yeah.
diversity, but the fact that I did do something that is of interest. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about empowering the future generation and sticking out and saying we're doing it, so you can too. Why not you? So in terms of just wrapping up,
Mm,
diversity and leadership course that we have coming up on Monday at this,
yeah.
Chris. What would you say to the listeners? Why should they come to our series of talks and share ideas with us?
Yeah, look, I think that at least what they'll get to hear is some of the challenges that they're not alone. They're going to get to hear about how people might have done it successfully themselves. What are some of the strategies that could be used that could also translate to what might help them? Because, a lot of this is not taught. We know that we don't learn any of this at medical school and how to deal with scenarios, how to deal with situations. And at the very least, you'll connect with people who are interested in this conversation,
Yeah,
and that hopefully then we can connect and we can collaborate and we can work together. And yeah, as you said, bring the others up, like empower others who feel like they might not be able to because of X, Y, and Z, whatever that diversity piece is for them.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's lovely. So it was so lovely to connect with you and sit down and talk about this, something that I feel passionate about, and you are obviously passionate about this, Phil, too, for taking part. Thank you. And I'll see you at this, Chris. You're flying
Yeah.
in a couple of hours, aren't you?
Can't wait. Yeah, I know.
All right.
Living on
Live
the
your life. Get that life. All right.
Yeah,
Thank you
I'm looking
so
forward
much.
to
Yeah.
meeting everybody and meeting you, Tina, in person. So that'd be good.
Lovely.
Thank you again for inviting me to the podcast as well as your session. Okay, so I hope it goes really well.
Yeah, it would be lovely. And I haven't met you since I think you're in training when I met you, and I was doing an RMO post at Royal Perth at the time. So yeah, that was eight.
Oh, right. I wasn't in Perth actually.
No, I went to Ramsco, and that's when I met you. I think
Oh my goodness.
yeah,
Okay.
years ago. All right. Yeah, lovely to see you, Angel. Have a safe
All
flight.
right.
See you soon. Take care.
Thanks a lot. See you,
Thank
Tina.
thank you, listeners, for listening, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you.